All right. We're going to go ahead and talk about notes 4.5. Today we're going to look at decimals, fractions, and percents. So this might be a little bit of a review again. But before we do that, we got to talk about our place values because we're going to have to turn our decimals into fractions. And if we know our place value, we'll be okay. So in front of the decimal, we have one whole. So we call that ones. Then we have our tens, hundredths, and thousandths. This is wholes, like a whole pizza. Whereas fractions come into play after the decimal. We have 1 over 10 here, which is tenths. 1 over 100, whatever value this is. If there's a 6 in this spot, it'd be 6 over 100. If there was a 7 on this spot, it'd be 7 over 1,000. So that's the thousandths place. So this is our tenths, hundredths, thousandths. See the TH? And that's going to be where we're going to come into our fractions, okay? Anything in front of the decimal, that's going to be our whole. And we're going to look at that with some examples. So in our notes today, we're going to go ahead and we're going to convert our decimal to a fraction. Use the decimal place value of the last number for the denominator. That means the bottom. Denominator, that's bottom, that's low. Numerator, that's the number at the top. And the decimal number we'll use as our numerator, all right? So right here, this 1 is in the first spot after the decimal. That's our 10th spot. So the 1 is going to go in the numerator at the top. And since it's in the 10th spot, that's going to go in the denominator. Low, bottom, right? Deep, low. Numerator, high, numerator, up the top. So here, the 3 goes in the numerator at the top. And then 1, 2, 2 spots after the decimal, that's our hundredths. So the 100 goes in the denominator under the fraction bar, all right? Just to remind you that that fraction bar also means to divide. So 3 divided by 100, that's 0.03. Check it out on your calculator, you'll see for yourself. 3 divided by 100, 3 divided by 100, 0.03. Nice, that worked out great. Here we got 57 now. So we're going to look at the last spot. 1, 2, 7 is in the last, in the hundredths place. So this is going to be 57, and 7, the last number's in the hundredths place, 57 over 100. Okay? Now, if I have a 1 in front of the decimal, that's my 1 whole. That's 1, right? 1 whole. And then I got 23. And 1, 2 after the decimal. So I'm going to come over here and go 1, 2, that's hundredths. So in the denominator, I'm going to put 100. All right? So there's my 1, and then 23 hundredths. Great. Next, we have 23.1. So I got 23 tens, 23 wholes. And then the 1 is in the tenths place. So it's going to be 1 over 10. All right? And this next one, I got 1 whole, right? 1 whole. So I make that a 1. And then the 2 is 1 after the decimal. That's the tenths place. So that's 2 over 10. Now, we can reduce this a little, right? Because 2 goes in the 2, 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes in the 10 5 times. So I can reduce that to 1/5. Both 1/5, 1 divided by 5, and 2 divided by 10, both of those equal at 0.2, right? So if you need help reducing, we can always go our alpha, y equals, and I can type my 2 over 10, and there's my 1/5, right? That can help you reduce if you need. At any point you want me to come over and help you out and show you more one-on-one, just call out my name and I'll come right over to help you out. You look right here, how many holes do I have? I got 2 holes. And then I got 5 over So 5 is in the tenths place. It's one spot past the decimal, so 5 over 10. Can I simplify that? How many times can 5 go in the 5? Well, 5 goes in the 5 one time, right? And then 5 goes in the 10, 5, 10, so 5, 10 twice, right? So that's our 2 and 1/2. 2 wholes and 1/2. 0.75. Now there's no holes, so that's going to be 75. So 75, 1, 2. The 5 is in the hundredth spot, so that's 75 over 100. Okay, now you're thinking, whoa, that's big. That's big, Mr. Lacey. So we're going to hit our green button, our alpha y equals the first one, n over d, numerator over denominator. All right, that's the one we're going to use. So we're going to put my 75 over 100, and we're going to see if this can reduce for us. As you can see, 75 over 100, that's 3/4 out of 4. So that's 3/4 out of 4/4 out of $1. That makes sense. 3/4 makes 75 cents out of 100 pennies, right? All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go backwards. We're going to work backwards now. We're going to convert a fraction back to a decimal. Whenever you see your fractions, that's divide. So this fraction bar right here means divide. 3 divided by 4. Right? 3 divided by 4, 0.75. So that gives us 0.75. All right? 5 divided by 2. 5 divided by 2. 2.5. All right? So we got 2.5. All right? 7 divided by 10. 7 divided by 10. Just use the calculator. 0.7. So why don't you try the next two? Call me over and say, Mr. Lacey, did I do this right? And I'll look at it and say, good job. Okay? Next, once you're done with those, and I looked at it, and your paper's looking good, we're going to look at mixed fractions. Remember, this is 3 wholes. So 3 wholes, and then 1 divided by 4. 1 divided by 4 is 0.25. So 3 wholes and 0.25. 7 wholes, and then this fraction bar means divide. 3 divided by 5. So 7 wholes, whatever 3 divided by 5 is. All right, so that's 0.6. Negative 11, 3 divided by 10. 0.3, okay? And then we have negative 5, 4 divided by 5. 0.8. Okay, easy enough. Easy breezy. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about how we can convert this back to improper fraction. All right, so what we did is we converted this to a decimal real fast. But let's see also about what it would be like to convert it back to improper fraction. So 3 times 4, so you go the whole number times the denominator. 3 times 4, that's 12. Okay, so 12 plus 1, 13 fourths. So we're going to keep the number at the bottom. We're going to keep the number at the bottom the same as the denominator for these. But to do it, we're going to go 7 times 5. 7 times 5, use the calculator, 35. Plus 8, 38. Okay? Oh, sorry, 7 plus 5 is 35, plus 3 is 8, 38. Okay? Negative 11 times 10, so we're going to put our negative here. If it's negative, it stays negative. So 11 times 10 is 110, plus 3, 113. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 4, that's 29. Okay, so we can write it as a decimal, 3 wholes and 1 divided by 4, and we can also write it as an improper fraction mentally. Now, if you did not like that, okay? The calculator helps out too. We can go ahead and go to our alpha y equals, and if you look at number 2, we can have our mixed fraction right there. So there we go. We got 3 and 1/4, 13 over 4. Ooh, I like that. Alpha y equals, go down to our mixed number 2, the mixed fraction, and we got 7 and 3/5. Ooh, 38 over 5. So there you go. There's your alpha y equals as well, okay? If you need some help with the calculator, if you forget at any time, you're going to call me or Mr. Cosiero over, okay? There you go. Good job. Let me pause this for a second. All right, so part 2 of the notes will be a second movie. So go ahead and just practice working with the decimals for now. And what I'm going to do is, the back side I'll do is a second video once you've had some practice working with decimals. All right, great. See you soon.